Hey guys, before we start talking today about the Buccaneers vs. Lions game, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button. My goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers by the middle of January, and I'm currently coming out with at least 3 videos a week. So if you're interested in more NFL content, hit that watermark in the bottom right corner of the video. With that said, let's dive right into the video, and I hope you enjoy. So what a win for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. This is a massive win for them, and it's actually with this win, they're in the playoffs for the first time since 2007. So congrats to them. Congrats for a fantastic season. They've still got a little bit of work to do, obviously, to solidify their playoff seeding, but congrats to them making the playoffs. So let's just talk about Tom Brady's big day for a starter. I mean, he was 22 for 27 for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. And wait, that was all in the first half. He was able to do that in the first half, and at the beginning of the second half, they actually took him out of the game and put in Blaine Gabbert. So Brady was fantastic, and I mean, it was all about that quick start. Over the past few games, the Bucs have not been able to start quickly. I mean, last week against Atlanta, they were down, I think, 17 at halftime, and then they were able to storm back in that second half. But, I mean, they had their first quarter lead since week 8 against the Giants in today's game. And in each of their last 6 games, they've totaled 7 first quarter points, and today they had 13. So that first quarter was a big stepping stone and a really turning point for this Bucs offense. I mean, they set the tone in that first quarter, and Brady threw 2 touchdowns in that first quarter, one to Gronkowski, one to Mike Evans, and he had a big first quarter, and that really just set the tone for the rest of the game. That second quarter followed. They put up 21 points. Fournette got going a little bit. Brady had 2 more touchdown passes to Antonio Brown, as well as Chris Godwin. And, I mean, this offense was firing on all cylinders. Gronkowski was going. Their weapons were just beasting and feasting, and this was the Bucs offense that we were accustomed to seeing and what we thought they would be at the beginning of the year. We thought they would be a high-flying, highly powered, dynamic offense, and they have been that over the course of the season. And we saw it today. And Brady was fantastic, and he looked like he was Brady from 10 years ago. I mean, the thing is, Brady barely has aged, almost. He's just as good as he was a few seasons ago, and it's just incredible to see what he's able to do at age 43. I mean, what he was able to do in that first quarter, in that first half, was just fantastic, and it was really fun to watch. Just from a football perspective, not as a Bucs fan, but just from a football perspective, it was fun to see Brady do that. To be honest, though, the Bucs still need to work on some stuff. They are one of the worst run teams in the NFL this season, although they've had one of the better running backs in the NFL this year in Ronald Jones. And their commitment to the run is something that I want to continue to see grow from them over the next few weeks and over moving into the playoffs, really. Not really over the next few weeks. They've only got one more game, obviously, in Week 17. But I think that next week you really want to see them establish the run more and more often because it's going to be really important for them moving forward if they want to be really good in the playoffs. I mean, the playoffs are all about playing good football, and running the football and having a balanced offense allows you to do that. So today, they ran the football solidly. They're in the bottom half, the bottom third of the league in total rushing yards this season. But if they want to be good in the playoffs and they want to go on a deep playoff run, Tom Brady and Bruce Arians know that running the football is something that really needs to be worked on. I mean, Leonard Fournette had some success today. We saw a little bit of Keyshawn Vaughn. He looked good at times today, too. So when Rojo gets back and when Fournette can continue to get going, this is something that's going to be really needing to be important moving forward for this Bucs team. They're going to need to run the football effectively. Overall, this offense was fantastic today. Mike Evans had a big day. Chris Godwin had a big day. You can see their stats just below. It was just, they were firing on all cylinders. I mean, it was fun to watch, good football, but on the defense side of football, I mean, they were just as good. They were stifling, and that's going to need to be able to carry into the playoffs. Good defense and a strong run game is a recipe for a deep playoff run, and we saw a strong defensive effort today by this Buccaneers defense. I mean, their linebackers are fantastic in Devin White and Levante David, and that really sets the tone for the entire defense. They've got a young secondary, but it's really improved, and guys like Antoine Winfield in the back end of that defense are just so fun to watch. They get to the football, and they're thumpers. And then up front, I mean, the ability to get pressure with guys like JPP and Shaq Barrett, I mean, they were really able to get pressure on the quarterback today, and they were able to make all the Lions quarterbacks to really just suffer in the pocket. They did not have a fun time. JPP, I think, had a sack, maybe half a sack, and they were just able to get pressure. And I mean, this Bucs defense is really good. It's really good at stopping the run. It's a little bit worse at stopping the pass, but overall, top 10 defense in the NFL. And if they want to continue to have that success, especially in the playoffs, they're going to need to bottle up what happened today. They're going to need to continue to play that brand of football. And I think next week's going to be important to just continue this and keep it going into the playoffs, because at the end of the day, I mean, this defense was so good, this offense was so good, and they just need to keep this going into the playoffs. One more note on the Bucs, and more or less actually Tom Brady. One note on him is the best thing that he does, and the thing that he's been able to have so much success doing at age 43 is, he still has the arm talent. He still has the football ability. But what he's doing is he's not beating you with his athleticism. I mean, Brady was never the most athletic quarterback, right? What he always was, he has arm talent, right? But he is so smart at football. I mean, he is the biggest football IQ out of any quarterback, and he's so good in game using his eyes and his body and his shoulders to keep safeties and linebackers off where he wants to throw the ball. I mean, the amount of times he froze defenders in today's game, and I know Brady does this all the time, but it's just something that is so fun to watch. I mean, the amount of times he froze defenders in today's game, I mean, he froze the safety a couple times, getting Godwin or Evans or Gronk past them and allowing for plays to develop. He's so good at using his body and his shoulders to just freeze defenders and fit footballs into open space. So with that said, I mean, this offense and this defense was so good today. I mean, they put up a ton of points. So just watch that, and they're going to need to keep that going into the future. And for the Lions, I mean, this was a tough loss. I mean, it happens in the NFL. You get blown out by good teams, but they were behind the pedal early. I mean, 5 coaches were unavailable due to COVID-19 restrictions. Their defensive coordinator was out, and Stafford got injured in the first quarter. Like, they were just behind the pedal early, and their playmakers weren't really showing up either. I mean, Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, guys like Marvin Jones, they just weren't there early in the game, and they couldn't really establish a tone early. They couldn't really get anything going. Yeah, they tried to get Adrian Peterson going on the run, just trying to run up the gut a little bit early in that first half, I think in that second quarter. But, I mean, they tried to run a stretch play, and that got blown up for a 4-yard loss, and then they just completely went away from it. And yeah, they were down a lot of points, and the thing is, I think they're just going to need to establish the run. They have they've got some good running backs, and if they can establish the run moving forward, maybe they can get that passing game to open up too. But I mean, it's the end of the season; they're not going to make the playoffs. And I thought at the beginning of this year, this Detroit Lions team had hope. They just got hit with injuries. They really did. Galladay was out for a large part of the season. Stafford struggled through injuries this year, and I mean, next year, I think they're going to have some hope. They're going to need to make some adjustments this offseason. But, I mean, if they can find playmakers in an open space, they've got Hawkinson, who's one of the better tight ends in the NFL. DeAndre Swift has been fantastic at times this year. So on the offensive side of the football, and then they're going to get Galladay back next year if they're able to re-sign him. But, I mean, this team has talent. It does. And they've got playmakers on the offensive side of the football. I mean, is Stafford going to stay next year? I mean, there's a lot of question marks surrounding this Lions team. It's going to be an interesting offseason for them. But with that said, I mean, today was just a tough loss, and it's really a big eye-opener into what we're going to need to see in the future. They're going to need to rebuild this team, and they're going to need to add talent to this team. Is that going to be through the draft, in the offseason? We'll see what happens. But, I mean, today's game, it was just rough. Also, it showed that they have problems on the defensive side of the football. They're bottom 10 in their ability to get sacks. They're one of the worst defenses in the NFL at creating sacks. So that's something that they're going to need to address in the offseason, getting more pass rushers. Also, their linebackers. I mean, guys like Jamie Collins and Tavai, I mean, yeah, they're good players, but they need more depth there. They need better players there. And in the secondary, they need to continue adding players to that secondary. I mean, this secondary got burned. I mean, Tom Brady and the Bucs were able to do whatever they wanted to do to that secondary. So overall, I mean, this team needs weapons. This team needs more players that can make differences. And I mean, yeah, it was a tough game, right? They didn't have 5 of their coaches. Their starting quarterback, franchise quarterback, went down with injury. But overall, this was just not impressive. The one thing I will give them is that they put up a fight at the end of the game. I mean, they did not quit playing. They still tried and put up points. I mean, they ended up having a punt return for a touchdown. That shows fight. They showed character. But moving forward, I mean, they're going to need to find a new head coach. They're going to need to find a GM. They're going to need to find guys that can really bring the right football players into the building and get that culture right. I mean, Detroit's been a mess for years now, and it's something that this game really just highlighted and really showed that they're not fixed yet. They're still in the process of rebuilding and replanning and retooling and moving forward. So overall, I mean, this was a great win for the Bucs. I mean, this shows that they're a legit playoff team, a legit playoff contender. Stuff I want to see them grow on and work on is committing to the run game and really establishing that run game in their next game next week in Week 17, their last game of the season. But they clinched a playoff spot. Congrats to them, first time since 2007. And then for the Lions, it just shows that they've still got holes. They're not done rebuilding. They're not done retooling. So for the future, this Lions team is definitely going to need to rebuild. And that's going to end the video for today. Before you leave, please drop a like and a sub. That would really help my channel grow. I'd really appreciate it. I'm currently posting 3 videos a week. So if you're interested in more football content for the remainder of the season, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, see ya.